I can't say as this was exactly what I was expecting for Van Hollen's first recovery, but John and I want his golf cart up and running so that I can borrow it. Well, alright, we're testing out our new booster pack here, and we should be able to hold this down and go into force start, which it does. So right now we've got a bump starter on here. That's promising. Now the problem is we have a choke which is up front here. It's this bop thing here. So this is our choke, so we're going to hold that down and hit our button. Okay, now I'm going to one-arm paper hanger thing here. I'm going to reach down, hit choke, hold the start in one hand, and use the gas pedal with the foot. I can hear some sort of fire. While we're here, this is your case vent. This is your fuel tank. This is your outlet that goes to the carburetor. So now, if we bump the engine, we should see it build vacuum pressure, pulse it, and then pump gas. There we go. Now the reason why I did that is I wanted you to see that there is a delay. Whenever you have a vacuum pump in the system, you have got to pump that engine enough before you actually build the pressure in the pump to pump the gas. This is a big issue on V-twins. If the gas tank is below the pump, you can end up cranking quite a while for it to build pressure. John's going to see if he can catch this in video, but I think we figured out what went wrong. That float has bubbles in it. Bubbles mean that float has liquid in it. Yeah, that's not going to function. I warn people to watch for this quite often. This is what came out of that Kawasaki carburetor. This is what came out of a actual GX200 carburetor. They're both exactly the same float. No differences whatsoever, exact same size, needle mics out exactly the same. That retails for 4 times the cost of that. Pay attention when you're dealing with this kind of stuff. A lot of times things are swappable. In fact, I'm pretty sure the jet that's in here is just a regular standard jet like a Honda GX200 uses. Did we have to have the ignition on for this thing to run?
That would probably help.
Okay, go turn it on. Lovingly hate you right now. You left the ignition off while we were trying to get it started. Ah, the pump kicked in. Get a shot of this exhaust coming out. Come over here. Watch right down in here. Watch what it builds up to because the rings are gone. You're in the wrong seat for a chauffeur. Alright, see if it'll pull forward. There we go. Alright. Well, if you want a new engine, you gotta beat this one up hauling scrap metal first. So we'll get some scrap metal hauled off so that we can clean up over in here. And then that'll give us a place to park this, and then we can rip the engine out and start working on it. So you gotta clean out your parking spot. Well, we're heading down the drive. Don't run into the tree, dummy. Okay, John's attempting to murder me, so he has life insurance hidden somewhere. But we made it down the driveway. We can smell burning oil coming out of this thing because it's horrible. But John's having fun. We're learning. And we're gonna go get turned around, put him to work, and then swap an engine into this thing pretty soon. Okay, in the future, let's not go across the neighbor's yard.
I was trying my best.
Meryl, if you see this, I apologize, I wasn't driving. You can have a chat with him later.
Bye, Meryl.
You broke it!
I didn't know. I just started it. You're the one that monkeyed around with it. How did I break it?
You sound like one of the chipmunks. Are you Alvin, Theodore, or Simon? Okay, well, we hauled it out from the basement. It's only been abused hanging off the front porch for 3 years. Yeah, that's not good. You broke it.
How did I break it? I just said I only clicked on the interior.
You really do sound like a chipmunk.
I'll power wash you.
We figured out that somewhere we had a clog in this and it wasn't getting water. But now we can see that it's leaking plenty of water. And it works good now, right? As long as it's leaking, it's working, right? Is that thing strong enough to kick you?
Oh my God.
Ella. Are you anti-cat by helping him catch a catfish? Whoop, did you get a catfish?
I got one. I got one.
There we go. Good job. Alright. I couldn't really get a video of it last night because it was a little bit too dark in order to see it, but John cleaned off everything, polished things up. The seat is a lot nicer looking than it was before. The back has been all sprayed down so that we can get this engine ripped out of here. And then we'll probably roll this back over in order to be able to spray this all out one more time before we get plasma cutting. But I have a good woman. She asked me what I really needed in order to be able to keep going with what I was doing this summer. And I said, well, honestly, one of those little tiny pressure washers from Harbor Freight would work. And this showed up on the lawn this morning. Man, I love that woman. With the current weather forecast as cloudy with a chance of meatballs, we have decided we're going to redneck modify my 4-post lift. What do you think, John? You think that golf cart will fit now?
Probably.
Probably. So this poor thing was given to us by a friend, and as you can see, poor thing is the correct term. We used to have a tent out front and it collapsed and it broke one of the boards, but the other 20-footer was fine. So we sliced that in half. We added some bump stops to the end. And now we're going to see if you can drive the golf cart on. Okay, you got to come over a little. Come on, nice and light. Yep, keep going. Line it up so that that hits the board. Looking good. Nope. Get it on the edge of the board. Nope. Okay, stop. We'll fix it by brute force and ignorance. Good try. Alright, for the first time loading it up, I would say he... you know, It's a common male practice to lie about being 6 inches off, so I guess you did good. We'll fix it. We'll lift it and throw it over. Good job. I'm coming to the conclusion that I owe John an apology, because it turns out the rear of this thing is actually about 6 inches, if not more, wider than the front. So I told him to line up these two tires with this board, and what that did was the entire rear came off that board and slid everything sideways. You, advisor guy, you screwed up. Well, it definitely made its last chugga on an attempt to make it in here. We managed to get it to hold together long enough to haul the scrap metal down to the junk pile. But now we've got to figure out an engine to put into it. We've got a spare 160 up there. We've got a dual fuel 439. The 500, unfortunately, is a pull start, so that's not going to do us any good. The 713 is my spare for my plow tractor. The Ducar 212 Predator would be cute, but so would the GX200. So I think that puts us at the point of using this BILT HARD 420 that we ended up with. Yeah, I think we're going to run that. We've got a knockoff 780 torque converter that we can run on this. But the first thing we're going to do is see whether the regular torque converter on the golf cart will come off. You know, I'm glad I stay on top of priorities. The damn thing doesn't even run, and John's over here going, I just want to fix the one bumper bolt. It bothers me that it's ripping up the fiberglass.
It is. It's going to make a hole.
It doesn't even run. Haha, Mr. Rain. I have a garage. You can't touch me. Actually, to be honest, I want to really throw a thank you guys out there, because getting this garage done in order to be able to be in here would not happen without your support. You guys got on the Amazon list of things I needed in order to finish up the garage. Things that John has used and loves, like the drill press. He's out here playing with that thing, working on Hot Wheels and everything on a regular basis. Some of you asked if I would update the list and throw some stuff on there. Somebody pointed out that my shoes are horrible and I need to replace them. I'll tell you what, I threw a set of shoes on the list. If you really insist I need new shoes, you can go buy me a pair. The concrete floor still needs to be patched up. There's no way to order concrete really through Amazon, but we did make the discovery that you can order $50 Lowe's cards through Amazon, shipped directly to us. So we added the amount of those that we would need in order to fix the floor under the lift and stuff like that. But let me flip you guys around as to where we're at on this project. Okay, so we've managed to get the generator starter off of here, or maybe it's just a starter, I'm not sure. And this is the wonky throttle going on here. So we've got a throttle there that comes back to some sort of governor bypass thing here. The throttle actually comes around underneath and into this turnstile over here. So we're going to rip every bit of that out and just start from scratch, because it's not necessary. I do think I'm going to leave this bar here, because I'm really afraid if I take the bar off that this might drop into the case. If anybody knows anything about this, please give me an idea as to what's going on with that. Holy cow. Yeah. So this shifter assembly is nothing more than just a shaft with a keyway, which is interesting because I looked at it and I was like, oh, that looks like a 5/8. And so I'll just cut the pulley out of a lawn tractor transmission, weld a rod onto it, and then we'll have a shifter. And we can get rid of this plastic piece of caca. Except for the problem is, this isn't 5/8. This is 11/16. A 5/8 doesn't fit on it. So I'm wondering if I can take a 5/8 and a burr bit, widen it out a little bit, file the keyway a little bit bigger, and then still do the same plan. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because it's made for a clamp-on assembly, which, I mean, I guess I could cut the side of the pulley like that and then clamp it over the top like this was. I don't know. Throw your ideas down below. Yeah, there's an engineer somewhere that thought this was a brilliant idea. You remove the screws everywhere and you're like, there, now I can pop it out and get to all the wiring. Oh no, no. The steering column goes right through all of it, and it won't lift up in order to slide up the steering column. So you've got to take the whole steering column out, it looks like, because you can't lift it up and pull it out. So you know what? This thing's getting hot rodded anyway. We're going to grab a little cutter, and we're just going to slice a notch right in there and lift this all straight up out over the top of the steering column. Yeah. Hot rod life. Hey, John.
That vibrates.
You do realize some Cub Cadet aficionado is rolling over in his grave right now, right? And they never expected two rednecks to hot rod a Cub Cadet extended cab. All right, go for it. John started off delicate. Show them what delicate got you.
What do you mean? This is what you did.
So we got a little bit more persuasive, and now we've got it out of there so we can get behind it in order to get to the wiring and everything. Okay. Well, now that you broke the saw blade, we'll see if we can get the engine out.
I was having issues, and then I gave it to you, and then you bent it, and then you bent it back, and then it bent again, and then you snapped the tip.
You sound like Alvin from the Chipmunks. I'm sure that box is worth something to somebody, but to me, it was in the way. So a Sawzall, it's done, we're out. I'm coming to the conclusion every bit of wiring in this thing is getting literally just ripped out. Because, like, here's an example. Here's the taillights. We've got one type of connector, two types of connectors, three types of connectors, four types of connectors. Just for the taillights. There are literally generations worth of fix-it connectors through this whole entire thing. There's one of these yellow wires that has been patched together like 5 separate times rather than just run a brand new wire. It's all getting torn out. I'm not going to deal with gremlins afterwards. We're just going to take 4-wire trailer wire and just run a line right square to there and put the ignition up front off of the engine and call it good. Well, we got it up there. Let's go take a look underneath, shall we? That would be the brake system. There's the cable going back. We need to take a look at that later. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 straight up through the bottom. So that shouldn't be too bad. Frame rail actually looks really good. I'm surprised it's not more beat up as low as this thing rides. That tube's got to come out. That's the choke tube that goes to the front. We'll have to figure out how to get that out of there. I forgot about that. That is the shifter cable harness. That's got to come out. And then whatever is in this hodgepodge here, that must be the brake sensor there. And that's your gas. So that's got a rod that comes back, so that shouldn't be too hard to patch something into. Oh, that's interesting. So the gas pedal goes that way, that rod goes that way. So we'd have to make it so that the connection is facing this direction so it pulls. I'm sure that made sense to somebody, but yeah, basically that's going the wrong direction for a pull cable. So we've got to translate this into a pull function somewhere. Okay, well, that's interesting. We end up with a bunch of questions when it comes to using the lift, and like right now I'm up here assisting John, but everybody seems to think we need a ladder to get up onto the lift. I mean, really all we have to do is just walk over to here and then whoop, there we go. And basically at any point on the stairwell, even at full height, I can step over onto it and get to anything in the shelving area that I want. That section that's a little further away, all I do is just put a plank across. I don't even have to go and use the ladder to get up there. But yeah, you guys keep asking, how do I get onto and away from everything and whatever. So I just almost fell down trying to film it just so you guys could see. Hey John, you done yet?
No.
No? What are you doing?
Trying to remove the cable holder thingamajiggy that's owning the thing.
Is it easier to do when you've got a camera in your face?
Actually, it kind of is.
Why is it easier with a camera in your face?
I've actually been removing more chunks than I have been.
No. Are you done yet?
I don't know, you tell me.
This is your project. You should be done by now. On today's episode of Lift With Your Back, because you just plain can't get your legs in there, let's get this thing out of here. Well, maybe I can lift semi with my legs. Maybe if I put my foot in here and then wedge myself into here. I think if I use the alternator bracket and the oil filter, I think we can get it out of there. Man, we're going to go faster just for losing weight. This thing weighs way more than the BILT HARD. I'll go put it over next to the BILT HARD so people can see the difference. There. Yeah. That is a way heavier engine. Whew. Cool. Does a motor mouth count as close to installing the motor? Alright, in all honesty, we're probably going to call this the end of the video. This was a lot to be able to get it torn down and everything. We're going to do a second part where we try to install the engine into it and get everything sorted out. We've got to see if the clutch will come off the old engine or whether we got to install a new clutch and any number of a bunch of different stuff. Plus, John has a lot of cleaning to do. That way, when I'm in there with a plasma torch and I'm cutting out everything that's unnecessary or removing things, I don't go poof. It sounds like a bad episode of Ahmed, the Dead Terrorist. Poof. All done. No more golf cart. Or dad. Anyways, so we're going to call this good. John's done a really good job. I've worked more than I really wanted to on this thing. That's how dad projects go. Say bye-bye.